What is wrong with customer service in your dealership? Odds are you don't know. In this episode, we're going to talk about ways to find your dealership's customer service blind spots and gain insight into your customer's perspective of your dealership. Stay tuned in this episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers.
Welcome to Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Prepare to learn something new about the industry that keeps us moving.
Check out all our podcast content on our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X. So today we're talking about customer service. Customer service is such an important part of our dealership experience. And it's something that you really have to be mindful of to become a great dealer. Customer service is something that it's really important to a lot of dealers because we're advertising it. We're trying to say that we have the best customer service of any dealer in the country. We make a big deal of our customer service, but often there are problems with customer service in our dealerships. And it's because there's so much that can go wrong. There are so many little parts and little processes and customer touch points where you have to have things going really well in order to deliver that great customer experience. Truly, to be a great car dealer, it's not okay to do 90% of your functions really well. You need to be able to do 100% or near 100% of the functions really well. Because if only 10% is mediocre, the customer grades the experience as a mediocre experience. 90% done really well and 10% mediocre is a mediocre grade in the eyes of your customers. Now, what are your customer service blind spots? That 10%, 5%, 2%, 20% that isn't going so well in your customer experience? How do you even know what to fix? You don't know what you don't know, and you can't fix what you can't see. So today we're going to talk about ways to get deeper insights into your dealership's customer service experience. And we're talking about ways that are beyond the customer survey at the end of the sale. We all do these customer surveys. We either deliver them online or we do it at the time of sale after the deal closes or something like that. And you need to be doing these, but everyone's doing this. It only provides you a very limited perspective and snapshot into what the customer thinks of how things are going. So here are 5 ways to get a deeper look from the customer's perspective. Number 1, read 6 months of your dealership's reviews. Do this across all platforms, all review platforms, whether you like that platform or not. Some review platforms tend to be very negative, and that's fine. We keep this all in perspective. When reading reviews, we want to gain insight knowing that sometimes the customer is wrong in this industry. Sometimes the customer has unreasonable demands. Sometimes their complaints are not reasonable, and that's okay. But if you read 6 months of reviews and you see the same issue being raised multiple times by different customers across different review platforms, that's a good sign that you have a problem there and you need to take steps to fix it. By the same token, I read a bad review. One bad review by itself doesn't necessarily, without corroboration, without evidence, tell me that there's a problem. So I keep an open mind, but I don't necessarily take the customer's perspective or position automatically. I'm looking for trends. I'm looking for the big picture when I read through months of reviews. Number 2, call a dozen recent customers yourself. Don't identify yourself as the dealer or the owner or the general manager. Just say that you're calling to check on them post-sale and want to, ask how their experience was, And you'll have some people that won't want to talk to you, and some people that will be super negative, and some people that are super positive. But again, if you call a dozen or 2 dozen recent customers, you're going to be able to identify trends. You're going to be able to see commonalities and to be able to talk to them and ask questions to delve deeper into the complaints that they may have, the things that didn't go well, will give you potentially a lot more insight than that fill in the bubble customer survey ever could possibly provide you. Number 3, take sample test drives with every single one of your salespeople. This is a good way to see what the customer experience is in a part of the sales process that is normally obscured to your management. So you don't have managers along for the test drives. That salesperson is all by themselves with your customer. That is a great opportunity to see how that salesperson is performing. And granted, they're going to put on their best possible show for you, hopefully, in that test drive, but that's okay. It still lets you know what their relative strengths and weaknesses are, their ability to talk about the product, their product knowledge, their knowledge of the sales process, how they keep conversation going, and a lot of different things that you simply can't fake. They are either going to have that ability or they're going to have weaknesses. And it's an opportunity for you to gain deeper insight to the relative strengths and weaknesses of your sales staff. Now, to do this, the thing is you want to just learn and be an observer. This isn't the opportunity to immediately delve into critiques and make your salesperson defensive. They're kind of in a vulnerable position, being in the car with you, taking you on a test drive as if you were a customer. And so you want to be respectful of that and use this as an opportunity to gain knowledge so that you can more effectively coach and develop them as a salesperson. Item number 4. Sit and observe your sales floor. Find yourself a desk and just watch for a few hours. Have some work with you, have your computer with you, and just observe what's going on. For that first hour or two, people are going to be relatively on, I don't want to say edge, but they're going to be a little bit cautious. They're not going to be used to you potentially being on the sales floor for a very extended duration, observing everything that goes on. Don't act like you're there to be a spy, but just sit in your sales floor and see how things go for a period of time. Do that if you can for a half day or a full day, and you're going to gain some insight into personalities, how it's working on your sales floor, how customers are going through the sales process, and you'll get a bigger sales experience insight. Number 5, take your team out. Try to get all of your customer-facing employees out for small group lunches. Take them out 3 or 4 at a time. I like doing these small group lunches because it's more casual than a meeting, if you will. And small group is valuable because it's informal, people become relaxed, and you can get a better understanding of their insights and their perspective on your dealership. And it gives you a better idea of the personalities that your customers are working with as they go through the sales experience at your dealership. And then I save the most valuable one for last. Number 6, be the phone receptionist for your dealership for a day. If a day is too long, at least for a few hours. This is extremely valuable. All too often, there are dealers that never, ever, ever answer the phones at their dealerships, and they're missing a huge opportunity. First of all, doing that type of work, that truly grunt work in the car business, you can get a lot of respect gained by your employees when you're willing to sit down and answer phones. That can be tough work in the dealership, but it also provides you huge insight. When I would answer the phone, I would be privy to information that I potentially would have never gained. I can see when I have to transfer problems to other departments, customer situations that need to be fixed, and I take messages, I transfer customers, and then the problem doesn't get resolved, and the customer is calling back in a couple hours saying, hey, so-and-so never called me back. I'm like, well, that's interesting. I know they're back there. Why is this manager not calling this customer back? And it makes you aware of weaknesses in your operation that you're just simply going to be unaware of if you don't answer the phones a little bit. You don't have to do it all the time. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of customer facing work, but it's super valuable. Don't miss out on that opportunity. And with that, that's been 6 ways of gaining a deeper customer insight into your dealership. With that, it's been another episode of Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers. Check out our podcast on all our social media channels. We are at Down Payment Podcast on YouTube, Down Payment Podcast on Instagram, and Down Payment Pod on X.
Thank you for listening. Down Payment, the podcast for used car dealers, is a production of Meta Financial Services Incorporated.